Lars, from an operator perspective, what is it like out there regarding talent?
Thanks, Nick. It's a good question. As Lee said in his introduction, I think we're giving birth to something very, very important here. I heading up Rack Center in Lagos. It's the largest data center in Western Africa. And of course, talent is not only what we have to do, it's an essential piece of how we run our business. So we have had the fortunate, I would say, we have been fortunate enough to find always the right talent to our data center since 2013. But if I look at not only our own business, but also the whole sector in Nigeria, how we're going to grow and where we're going to grow and have technology moving the whole time, I see that this is very, very important for me and the whole sector. We need to bridge this kind of, I wouldn't say there's a gap here, but it's definitely a need to bring in more people into the digitized economy on the whole, and also bring in more people into data center business. And that means that we have a current and a future need for more skilled people coming into the data center industry. I mean, that ranges from all different categories and skills, Nikki, in the field. But more important so is when I look at where they are today, I think Nigeria, in my case, I think we have 187 universities that kind of flushes out a huge amount of talent every single year. So to be on the demand side here, representing data center and being able to provide this opportunity, not only for myself, but also for one of those in the 20, 30, 100 graduates to make sure that they also become part of my journey. I think it's a great opportunity. So overall, hopefully, once we conclude and continue with this exercise, we have given a lot of opportunities to people actually come into real life and work inside a data center business and being part of something bigger. So thanks for this opportunity, Nikki.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It is if you think of growth. I mean, most people think of what's going to happen in the next 5 years or 10 years, and this is really instrumental for growth. And then also what we found, it was quite odd that there's a high demand for skill and there's a high supply of graduates, but the two aren't reaching each other. So, Emily, your research for the ADCA Insider Survey unveiled some important trends around talent in the sector.
Yes,
Can you
absolutely.
very briefly share with us what you found?
Yes, absolutely, Nikki. Before we conducted the survey, to provide you a little bit of context, the overall assumption was that there's a scarcity of trained professionals in the data center industry worldwide, which there is, by the way. But doing this survey, conducting it unveiled some very specific African trends. The first one is that the scarcity of skilled professionals is the number one concern of the sector. The second trend that it unveiled was that on top of a lack of initial training, there's also a significant brain drain, which was highlighted by 39% of respondents. And last but not least, also the main response of operators, with over 60% of them answering that in-house training has been the answer so far. So there's definitely a need for more training overall, and this initiative is coming at a perfect time.
Okay, fantastic. And then tell me, brain drain from a South African perspective, it usually means that people who would be skilled or graduated would leave the country. Is that also how I understand it in this context?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
39% of operators see that some of their skilled staff has left the company for better opportunities abroad. I mean, it is a globalized industry as well, so it makes sense.
Yes, yes. Okay. So if I look at where we started, let me just see where I am. Um, uh, uh, when Lee and I started, we thought we needed to start with a product to solve the problem. And actually, we decided no, it starts with listening. So, with the support of Div, we conducted research across operators and OEMs and training providers and employers. And we asked one simple question: why is it still so hard to hire data center talent? Lee, you were deeply involved in this process. Can you tell me? What the research we did, what we did with that funding, what that research revealed, just the highlights there.
I think one thing that's apparent or that was a surprise, I think everyone always said it was the cost of training. In every sort of event that you went to, everyone says the cost of training is so high. But it's not just the value of the cost of a certification, because I mean, for years, what the data center industry has been driving is you put certifications against your data center. So either on the building because you're a certain level, tier or resilient facility, but then you start putting certification on people, and then if you put the certification on the person, it says that you've got much higher skill in your facility. But I think through the research, the most fundamental thing that came out the research was the actual certification wasn't as important to the operator because one, it cost a lot of money, and it's very apparent that if you are not a skilled data center person and you go through a certification program, which is 4 or 5 days, and it costs $5,000, at the end of it, it doesn't make that person a data center certified, highly skilled individual. It gives
Mm-hmm.
you the accreditations that you can say the person has gone through a platform. But I think what was more valuable for the operator was they need experience. And that's the problem with Africa in general, is that if there's data centers growing and there was very few data centers in the past, it means you're putting people in the data center that don't have any experience of the data center.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so they needed a element of experience, and that was really the fundamental output of the whole research.
Yes, I think we spoke a lot about if somebody's sitting in an interview and it's going really well and they're a graduate and they've got they look like you want to employ them, and you remember to ask them, oh, have you ever been in a data center? And they would say
Yeah,
no.
and we drive that problem as an industry. We always say when we write the job descriptions, we write in you must have 5 years data center experience as a minimum. Like you don't get 5 years data center experience in South Africa, in Africa, in Nigeria, in the north of Africa. They're like, you don't get that. It doesn't exist. And we always want data center experience, which is
So
unfair, which is unfair. And
yes,
and and and
yes.
and also, how do you get the experience? Because there's no university now that offers a data center pathway. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So
yes,
it's practically impossible. So what we're saying is for someone that's never been in a data center, it's actually practically impossible to ever get a job in a data center. So now where
yes.
do we find people that work in data centers?
And now we have a structured program that hopefully solves that. So, Vili, I've got a strange question for you. And that is would why would you fund research in Africa? Why invest your money here?
Yeah, sure. So maybe I start with what we do just super quickly. So I work with the Digital Investment Facility, and our job is to look for potential data center and IXP projects on the continent and help them become bankable, or in other words, investment ready. And when we started doing this work about 2 years ago, we, came across with the talent gap everywhere. Most of the companies we spoke to, they struggled either with the brain drain or just not finding the right people to run their data centers, and that eventually for us becomes a bankability issue. Like if you don't have the right people to run the data centers, that's of course operational risk. It's scaling risk, but it's an investment risk.
Mm.
So in that sense, it's at the core what we do. It wasn't written in our project plan, but we kind of just put it there anyway because we felt that that's such a crucial topic to tackle.
Yes, yes. And sometimes we plan for something, but then reality comes along and then we didn't plan for it, but it's required anyway. So
Yeah.
I like that explanation is to say ultimately it's an investment risk. And that is why you are funding, do a lot of digital investment funding in Africa. Um, Okay, so thanks for that. So I want to say enough talking. I want to show you what we've developed and what we have on offer. So what we're launching today is not just a course, it's a talent pipeline, or what I like to call the bridge between the demand for skill and the availability of talent, or the demand for talent and the availability of talent. Um, So there, first I had this drawn as a pipeline, and then I had it drawn as a flower, and now I see I obviously drank something really interesting and then did the numbering. So you just have to follow along with me. So how our model works is that we have a pipeline of different partners that make it work. The very first thing we do is we make sure we find the right candidate. So we identify high potential candidates, usually recent engineering graduates, people from adjacent industries, often from other critical services industries. So we find them. That's number one. And then what we do is we train them. We provide them structured tuition and support and then get them exam ready. And number three is the program that we offer is a globally recognized training program and globally recognized certification. So number three, the third party to this is in the certification body. And we spoke a lot about real world exposure. So number four, our partner there is the data center operator. Um, and then number five would be a professional body or an association that endorses it, like ADCA. And then the very final step, last but not least, would then be a placement agent that bridges these trained people into real jobs. Just for if there are operators who are interested in this, with some of our clients that we have a database of talent ready students, if you like, and in some areas or in some countries they want to find the students themselves, so that is entirely possible. So the model really works because of strong partnerships. And as I said, we're proudly supported by number five, a professional body, ADCA. And number three is a certification bodies, they're Schneider Electric and EPI, and they offer us specialized certification pathways. And really what that means, and you may or may not know this, but both Schneider Electric University and EPI developed bespoke programs for IBTC. It is not programs that the public can do. So if anybody says, oh, I can do this or that with EPI, or I can do this or that with Schneider Electric, that other program, this is a bespoke program. I have some students who have done both Schneider Electric program and the IBTC program, and ours is a little bit more in depth and structured slightly better. And then from a data operator side, a data center operator, we've got Rack Center here and somebody from IX Africa and CBRE. Those are the representations for that partnership. And then DCE or Data Center Elite is number six, our placement agency. And then I just want to point out that the program is industry-led, it's practically focused, and it is vendor neutral. And for me, the last point matters. We are not, IBTC is not a data center operator. We don't hire from the spool. So it means we train for the industry and not for ourselves. We don't keep the best candidates. What we create is fair access to all the talent. And that's really why we're able to partner across the ecosystem. Mary, from your side, Africa Data Center Association, you represent a lot of data center operators on the continent. From an industry perspective, how important do you think it is to have a structured, vendor-neutral talent pipeline like this?
Thank you, Nikki, for that question. So ADCA is the trade association for the trade organization for data centers in Africa, and as such, from our perspective, this is exactly what the industry has been calling for, because we have seen rapid infrastructure growth, we've seen increased global interest, but a fragmented talent pipeline. So ideally what makes this model strong is because it's industry aligned, as we've seen, and as you mentioned, it's vendor neutral. That's also very important, and basically creates access, not exclusivity. So that's very important for us because the growth of Africa depends on developing the talent at scale and not in silos, as it so happens in many other programs. So this initiative creates a shared platform for that, and it's very important. And I'm happy that ADCA is involved in this because we want to ensure that the talent pipeline coming from Africa is, well, it's going to represent who we are culturally and what we stand for as a continent. So this is very, 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 very timely.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Lee, you like to say that thing, what do you always say? X% of youth is going to come from Africa. Can you pull that up now out of a hat?
So I think where you're going with this is we got a very unique situation in Africa. So I think, and everyone's spoken about it to death, it's our demographic, right? I mean, globally, the populations aren't growing. They aren't growing at all, or like the age of APAC is growing at a very slow percentage. But in Africa, our demographic is, I think it's median age is roughly 18, depending on who you talk to. But I mean, 25% of all kids 0 to 4 all live in Africa right now. So
Hmm.
I always make the joke is we got a baby making machine in Africa, right? So it's like we're growing from 1 billion to 4 billion by 2100. So like we just have to grow. And
Yeah.
I think I remember us like, I don't know, Lily, it's probably like almost 2 years now. I don't know where this conversation all started. And Nikki, when we started building this, it was more for an Africa solution. But over the last year, we realized so quickly that global shortage is, it's not just an Africa problem, it's a global problem. And the reality is that we think we are actually building something for the operator down the road in Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, or wherever else. But I think the program is becoming very unique globally to actually offer a proper, it's almost like an apprenticeship, in a
Hmm.
short period of time, getting theory plus practical. And I think the reality is that we're going to end up very easily overtraining high numbers of individuals in Africa. And it seems like the global markets are starting to really
Yeah.
look at Africa as a talent pool. People are starting to focus on Africa and say, like, well, actually, there's some really good skill coming out of it because we got
Hmm.
individuals that are, everyone looks at Africa as it to be a third world country or third world, but the reality is in the data center sector, we've got individuals that are so highly skilled because they are moving power streams daily on daily. And I mean, Lars, like the whole Nigeria story of no power, running on generators permanently, gas gens, diesel gens. We'd like trying to do maintenance to keep the site live. We're actually swapping generators around to keep our sites live. Or in South Africa, power failing constantly. The individuals are so highly skilled, muscle memory, moving, quickly switching, keeping our sites like proper uptime.
Hmm.
People are wanting our skill in Africa. So I think
Yeah.
an initiative like this is probably going to not feed just Africa, but will start feeding a lot of the gaps in some of our mature markets.
Lovely, lovely. I totally agree with you and well said. Okay, so I just want to show you what the program looks like. It is a two-step training pathway for various and assorted reasons. So you articulate from DCCA 1 to DCCA 2. Learners begin with DCCA 1, which is based on the heart of it is a bespoke course created for IBTC specifically by Schneider Electric University. And this level is really broad and foundational, introducing core data center concepts and industry an industry context. It just puts it a little bit in context. And IBTC's role in that is we call it handhold. We have fancy academic terminology for it, but we handhold the students through that program because we pride ourselves in the number of people that sign up is the number of people who come through the front doors, the number of people that leave through the back door with a certificate. So that is our role, to guide the students to the exam and get them to complete that successfully. part of that program is some online learning and live tutorials, but then also data center site exposure, because our very first thing was we wanted to say we want you to have a basic understanding. And if somebody says, have you ever been in a data center? You can at least say yes. So from there on, this takes about 3 weeks. It can be done in 1 week as well. It's quite flexible, but it is quite a short and intense program. And then the deserving candidates, if you like, would then move on to DCCA2, which is more specialization. It's a little bit more in-depth operational knowledge. It's highly structured. There's 40 hours of online live tuition. So it is quite an intense course, and it's more specialized, focusing on deeper technical skills and practical application. And then after that, it's offered by EPI, and EPI is a global leader in data center training and standards and certification. So a key part of the DCCA2 Advanced Data Center Operation is that they will then, after they have done their exam and become certified, they will go on a 3-week on-site internship at a data center operator. Okay, then, so what we produce at the end is a double certified candidate who has 3-week on-site internship training at a data center operator. From a data center operator perspective, it's quite nice because you can sign up and get these interns to come in, and you can check them out. You can see how they operate, and if there's anybody there you would then want to recruit, or if you are interested in. So every learner also gets a data center site visit. I wanted to ask Lars something. Lars, we always like to say you cannot understand a data center from slides or from learning alone. I don't know if is that right?
That's very much the case, Nikki, and particularly in a challenging environment like in Nigeria. So far, I've been very blessed with having extremely talented people that stayed with the data center for many years, and that probably built up that kind of operation stability. But for a new person coming in, it's very difficult to, hit that extra threshold, extra level immediately. So now what you put together here is the theoretical part with, very good partners. What I commit to do, and what I actually feel is my mission and data center industry mission, is of course to give the practicality of that one, and that means that they're going to have opportunity to take the theoretical part and merge that together with an on-site presence. We're going to work together, in my case, with my very seasoned, very professional engineers, and get a small piece of that information on how you tie the theory together with the data center reality. And more important so, for the successful ones, of course, they're going to stay with us moving forward. And I'm very, very happy as a data center operator probably to give more internships that essentially actually going to need, because I know that these guys that I cannot hire myself, they will fill those positions that are vacant in the market, because there will be many positions vacant in the market. And I have no problem at all sharing this capability with my peers in the market. At the end of the day, it benefits all of us in this very challenging market. So I think it's a super good mix to be doing here. And I will make sure that those guys that come on board and work with me will actually leverage from my 13 years experience at Rack Center.
Isn't that just the magic? We get to that age where it's about that, is where we can pass on what we know. I also had somebody who said, in this whole training game, if you've got 3 vacancies, you don't go and train 3 people. You have 3 vacancies, you train 30 people, you train a pool of people, because today it's 3 vacancies, tomorrow it's 5, then it's 1, and we train for each other. I think Lee like to say right in the beginning, once this market is mature, we can fight it out and we can be competitive, but in the beginning we must all stand together and work together. So we train for the pool, and then large, like you're saying, we are sharing in that pool. So they're now
Nikki,
double.
sorry,
Yes.
Nikki, can I just quickly jump in here? I just want to sort of reference, it's like a pivotal point what we're just experiencing here. I mean, and this has been the problem with operators for forever. What Lars and the operators that would join this program, what we're actually committing to is something very different to what's ever been allowed before. Everyone was always hesitant to bring anyone that's not a data center professional into the site, And to take people on and mentor them and train them, it's a massive effort within a data center because everyone's worried about the risk and something's going to go wrong. But the mature thing or approach to do when we're trying to build talent is to bring these people in and put the effort in to teach them, because if we don't do it, no one's going to get the experience.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Um, I really like that. Um, I want to move on to that final step, which is usually sometimes they say when you plan, or we're doing leadership training now at work, and they say start with the end in mind. And when we are recruiting now, Lars, a lot of the students say, yes, but how employable will I be? So I have to direct this question to our recruitment partner. Nizam, how employable will I be? And what is your role in this ecosystem?
Well, Nikki, to be honest, basically our role is quite simple. We connect the talent to the opportunity in most cases.
Okay.
At Data Center Elite, we work directly with all of the operators and employers around the world. So we understand exactly what they're looking for. I'd like to say that we're the bridge that basically bridge the gap between training and the real jobs, you know?
Okay. Okay. And what is the most interesting place you have placed so far?
I've just come off a project in the Middle East, so Lee's point is actually quite valid. They do love African talent. So I'm hoping this program will also help me stop ruffling feathers in between in the industry.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um,
Yes, that's a good point.
to answer your question about the employability, though, from a
Mm,
recruitment perspective, this is a program that absolutely improves employability. So
mm,
basically, by the end, the learners aren't just certified, they understand how a data center operates and can
mm,
step into any entry level roles with confidence, you know. In a
mm, mm.
market that's short on skilled talent, that makes them highly competitive. I'm sure you know.
Yes, I always say we go to these universities, we speak to the students in the beginning, they don't know what a data center is. They think they joined a data analytics course. And by the time we've spoken to them, they all queue, they all want to be part of this program. And I always say when you see a new technology or something new comes in, it's like a wave, like almost like a
Yeah.
tsunami that grows and grows. And if you get in early, you're going to be at the crest of the wave. So I've seen that often across industries. Okay, so I just want to this was then our whole model, and I want to talk a little bit about participating on this program. Um, yes, we are in the process of securing global funding. Um, I wanted to make a joke with Vili. I said, Valu. No, we are in the process of trying to secure more funding. We also have some private sponsors with data center operators who are keen to say, I don't want to wait for the global funding. I think this is very important, and we're going to fund our own learners. So all that bids very well for us to build the momentum. But at the end of the day, we need industry participation to make this work. So we are asking data center operators to sponsor students. Say you want to take on 10, or maybe you want to sponsor two. If we have enough that sponsor two, we can form a little group. Um, why should you do this? Not because it's a donation, but because it's part of your talent strategy. Um, and when you sponsor students, you get access to trained candidates, and you will host the interns in your facility. And what we said is you can then observe them in real conditions, and you reduce hiring risk that way, and you really build a future workforce pipeline. So Lee likes to say, so this doesn't come out of your training budget, it comes out of your recruitment budget.
Sorry, Nazam.
You're killing me, Lee. You're killing me.
No, but I think that goes to the earlier point, right? It's building the talent infrastructure across the region, and when the region becomes very sort of mature, then it's fair game for everyone. But I think by anyone taking on a pool of talent to train, they're not going to take them all, right? So someone's going to have to be placed, and that's really where like someone like you comes in as on. But I think from a for an operator's perspective, it actually can massively reduce your recruitment costs by just taking on some students. And what I've seen working for a global outsourced service provider, some of our shining stars have always come through internships or apprentice programs, because you've found a gem in between a bunch of young individuals, and they
Yes,
normally end up as a senior manager within the business.
sure, sure. It's also sometimes you don't recognize it in an interview, but you will recognize it in interns.
Yes.
So we like to call it the try before you hire at scale, and at the same time you're contributing to solving Africa's skills gap. So Lee, I think you may have answered this in a way before, but I just quickly again, why is the world looking at Africa for digital talent development?
Yeah, I think it's to the point I made, right? It's
Mm,
the individuals in Africa are unique in a specific way, that they operate in very harsh conditions in terms of power infrastructure that's not consistent. They constantly have to be ready to operate in a highly critical way. In some cases, in mature markets, people read about the time that they need to act.
mm,
Some people
mm,
might not ever need to act in anger, right? It's a very controlled environment, and that's what makes individuals in Africa very, very, very targeted, because I think it's very clear, if there's some key strong resources in Africa ending up in a very mature market team, they stand out very clearly in terms of
mm.
their ability and how they can operate under massive pressure.
I
And
think
then
it's
obviously those
ability.
operators will go and fetch more, right? So
Yes, totally, totally. And it's ability, skill, and then we're known to be so hardworking. Isn't it? You told me in the UK when it snows, then nobody shows up except the except the Africans. They just think, well, there's work to be done, so I'm going to show up. Okay, so we're almost done. I just wanted to reiterate the our ambition is to establish IBTC as Africa's Data Center Academy, not through training alone, but by being the bridge between the talent and the industry. So, what's happening next? We're inviting you to be part of bridging the gap between the talent and the industry. We will be onboarding, we have just sponsored 30 students on DCCA 1 in South Africa. We are opening sponsorship slots with operators, and we are expanding partnerships across Africa. So, if you are an operator, we would love to talk to you about sponsoring a cohort, sponsoring a few students. If you are a partner, let's integrate you into the SIS ecosystem. If you're interested in talent, this is your pipeline. And I just want to thank everybody for their time, and we are totally looking forward to building this together. So at this point, I just want to open up the floor to some questions, and let me see if I can just open the chat and see if there are. Thank you all. Okay. Do we have any questions? We will take 2 or 3 questions. If anybody's got a question, if you want to know how you can be part of this, um, you can unmute. No. I see we have a good group here. One new comment.
is there
You,
info mail? Okay, there we go.
yes. You can also do info@ibtc.co.za, at ibtc.co.za, and you will reach us. Dennis, Timothy, Gloria, Ashika, Stella, Christine, any questions? Derek, Said, nice seeing you all. Ah,
Quick
what a
question.
nice group. Yes.
Quick question. Is Ahmed speaking? Is this program limited to only students within on the African continent, or even students in the diaspora can benefit from?
It is not, it is not limited. It was created with Africa in mind, but if the market is bigger, then we can train anywhere. We're also, as I said, an ecosystem. So if there are other providers or data centers that want to join, now that we have a model that we think works really well and works for the industry, we can roll it out everywhere.